Okay, guys. Good evening and welcome to Conversations with Aibee. Today, I have two exciting guests. One of them is already on live. I'm expecting the other person to join us shortly. My guests today on Conversations with Ib are Victor Alete and Kenneth Kalio. Both of them are entrepreneurs. Incidentally, both of them studied engineering. Both of them are busy doing everything around the world. Let me start with Victor. Victor's passion is agriculture. He loves food. He loves his food. He loves business. So he's perpetually creating new businesses and new fields of endeavor. Victor is involved in property, farming, business development, and I think he can keep counting. But one of the things I know he is craziest about is his food. Good food. He doesn't eat bad food. Victor, you're welcome to Conversations with Ivy.
Thank you. Good evening, ma'am. Thank you for having
Good to have you on the show. My second guest is Kenneth Kalio. He's not in yet, but Kenneth is also a foodie. He's himself and Victor actually are initiators of the Port Harcourt International Food Festival. Kenneth does everything from food blogs to eating the food itself. I'm not sure if he does the cooking. Perhaps he'll tell us today how much cooking he actually does. But Kenneth is also an engineer turned multiple entrepreneur. He's done all kinds of things from the literary festival, Port Harcourt Literary Festival, to, like I said, the International Food Festival, and has worked across several spheres. Something that Kenneth loves and is passionate about is culture, discovering culture. Today I'm going to be talking to these two gentlemen about how their passion fueled their vision and the whole concept of dreams. Do dreams really come true? Should we actually dare to dream? Should we imagine that our dreams can become anything at all? And I think that at the end of this conversation, perhaps some of our own dreams might begin to grow wings. Please welcome my guests, Victor Alete and Kenneth Kalio. Victor, it's good to have you on the show, like I said. Tell me a bit about yourself. What is it that fuels your
you.
passion? What is it that makes you wake up every morning and start going?
I can't hear you.
What is it that fuels your passion? What is it that gets you going?
Hello? I didn't hear you.
Hello, I can hear you. I can hear you.
I can't hear you. Okay, you can hear me. But I
Yes.
didn't get the question.
Okay, so what is it that fuels your passion? What is it that keeps you going every day? Did you hear that?
Okay, I think I'm having network issues, but I
What
didn't I didn't get
fuels
that.
your passion?
Okay, what fuels my passion?
Mhm.
Let's see. Okay, from time immemorial, from well, I'm still young, so I can say from when I was a young man, or rather when I was younger, I've always had this thing for wanting more out of the everyday scenario, out of out of life. So being where I am now, I always I always want more. I always look out for more. So that's the thirst for more. Let me put it that way. The thirst for more is what fuels me. The thirst to see things better than it is now. That's what fuels me.
Okay, so the test for more, the thirst for more. Um, and I'm sitting and I'm listening to This idea of the thirst for more, the desire to become
I
more.
can't hear.
When is more enough?
They seem to be having issues.
When is more enough?
I think I'm having issues with audio. Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
But I can't hear either of you.
I can hear you. You need to check your audio. Okay, let me come to Ken. Ken, I hope.
Maybe you should join me, Alete. Okay, I think I'll join him and then maybe that way it works better.
Yes, possibly.
Because I can't hear either of you.
Ken, can you hear me? Ken, can you? Kenneth, can you hear me? Ken, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Ken, okay. Ken, you can hear me. Okay. So Victor
Yeah.
says it's the thirst for more that fuels his vision. Let me ask you, Ken, what is it that fuels your vision?
Well, I think for starters, I I think my environment would be the immediate influence because I grew up in an environment that I thought wasn't appropriate for me maybe. So I thought there could be more and better things could be done to have one a better life, maybe a better society. So I think that was one of the things that started or instigated my vision.
Question. When people talk about vision, what does vision really mean? And Ken, my guests are saying you need to speak out. They're not hearing you. So what does vision really mean?
Okay. Let me try put up the volume on my mic.
I think now your mic is great. Now your mic
Is
is
that
good.
fair enough?
Yes, it is. So tell me, what is it that what does vision mean to you? When you say vision, what does it mean? Yes, Ken.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, why is
What
the
does
audio?
vision mean to you? We can hear you.
What does vision mean to me?
Yes.
Well,
I think both of you might need to
Okay.
use that same
I think I should
so you
shift
can
again. The mics are
okay.
misbehaving. I think there's a plan
Okay.
I
somewhere from
think my environment. I
people
grew up in.
people are at it again. So
So
let me shift
uh,
it. Okay,
um,
vision means me.
I
That was the question.
Yes.
Okay, what vision means to me? Vision is
thought
to me
there
personally. I would go by the
could
general definition of vision, but for me personally, it's where I see because I'm pro River State, pro Niger Delta. So
have
vision to me is
one.
creating a world class, world class city, a world class environment from where we are. So that's my own vision, and that's what vision is to me, to create the best from where we are.
Okay, because sometimes people talk about vision and they go on and on about vision, but the question really is
I'm not hearing her. I'm not hearing, so I'm basically reading your
I
lips as much as I
you're not
can.
hearing. This is crazy because I'm speaking and I hear you. Do you I hear you. Hmm. Let's try this another
I
way.
can't. I can't hear.
I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me? Do you hear me now?
Can't.
You still can't. You can hear me, Ken.
Yes, I
Okay,
can.
so okay, so Victor, you can't. Victor can't hear me. Okay, let's see how to work around this because we've got to find a way. So Ken, I'm asking, what does vision mean to you? Can you and
Okay.
can you and Victor be in the same frame maybe? So that we're
Yeah,
speaking
yeah.
from the same. Yeah, can we do that?
I think you should just come. Let's fit in one frame.
Okay,
Forget
let's
that
do
back.
that. Let's do that.
Let's see how that
Sorry.
works.
So that
Let
one.
me disconnect. Yeah.
Let me see how you both can be in one frame. Yes.
Okay.
This
Okay.
can work, eh?
Yeah, let's do this. Because we've got to get this show on the road. So I'm asking, Ken, this is to
Yes.
you.
Sure.
What does vision mean to you?
There are a lot of meanings to vision, and if I want to stick with the official meaning, it's something that you imagine, the picture of the future created out of imagination.
Mhm.
Uh, that would be the primary meaning of vision. But to me, vision is something that the unforeseen
Mm,
has revealed
mm,
to you in it could be in diverse forms. It could be, mentally, it could be spiritually, it could be physically, it could be in any form.
So
But
then Mhm. Please go ahead.
what you aspire for your future,
Mhm.
primarily, that would be vision
Wow.
for me.
What you aspire for your future. Okay, so everybody talks about passion. Um, and sometimes you wonder if passion is not a problem. Okay, if passion is not is this passion business, is it not a problem? Because you're passionate about something. I know when people say, see, this passion can't feed you, you know so people begin to wonder, where do you have this connection between passion and vision? Some people are really passionate, and I recall I have a business coach, and he's such a hard taskmaster, and he says to me, on your for your passion, you want to look at what that passion is yielding. Should passion yield? Should passion yield?
Uh,
I mean, both of you know about
Very
passion.
Mm-hmm.
accurately, passion shouldn't necessarily yield first, because passion is the driver. It's what pushes you to the next level to achieve whatever goals or dreams or aspirations you have. But reality check, passion has to yield.
Okay.
Because
I
for
have
you to
convinced
make
me.
for you, for you to make it meet, you have to check if you have both the skills and the tools you need to achieve your vision.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're confusing me. You say realistically, because I really need to understand. I mean, okay, talk to me, Victor. What is your passion?
Okay.
Tell me. Tell me.
Okay, let me put it like this. Passion without a vision will lead you nowhere.
Hmm. I like that.
So you can be passionate about football, but if you don't have the vision, you've not seen yourself either playing or owning a club or signing players or being an agent or somewhere around the the thing you're passionate about, there's nothing. nothing you're going to get at the end of it.
Okay, you guys. So now let's come back to the things that are, you talked about the reality check. How do I then translate my passion to the kind of vision that leads me somewhere? Okay, because you're telling me now that passion without a vision, sorry, you're on your own. So, using
Mm.
your own examples, and perhaps you want to now speak to some of the things you're really passionate about that you're doing now. And let me start with you, Ken. What is your passion, and how has it driven your vision, and how are you achieving your dreams?
Okay, I'll start by telling, I'll tell it in form of a story.
Mm-hmm.
So I have thought in my life that I was going to retire with a restaurant. So, since I promised myself that I retire with a restaurant, um, naturally, you cannot be having a restaurant when you don't like food or having an affiliation with food. So, I started dreaming about the days when I would be chilling in my restaurant, not working, just chilling with my friends and family and just seeing people come and eat and enjoy how they do all of this. And I was blessed to be in a family where food was a big deal. Everybody in my family, from my great grandmother, somehow just loved to do things around cooking or, well, some people just eat food because, I mean, I have to survive. My grandmother she has a thing about describing how food should be. She could describe food like a story. And if you listen to her, you could literally taste what she has described. So it started from there, and everyone in my house made me a taste master. They cook, come and taste. Is there salt? Is there? I was not trained to cook, oh, but I was trained to taste. I could tell if it was good or if it was not. So that led to my love for food, which is where the passion comes in. So I built that. And one thing I want to point out is the fact that when you are dreaming or you have a vision and you keep that vision alive in your heart or in your head, naturally you start to attract the things that are around your vision to yourself. So somehow I was still in the university and my sister got a place for business, just general hustling. And she said, you know what? Why don't we have a food place? I'm like, excellent. I was in UST at the time. This place was at Uniport. So we kept on. I was going back and forth. At the time, I also had a job somewhere around Choba with dark communication. So it was easy for me. After work, I would still go. That was part-time work. After work, I'll go to school. I'll go to school and I'll go to Uniport or however the timeline was. But I started doing that, and my passion for food continued to grow. Now, at some point, because of life, I had to leave the environment, and then so that business stopped. But that's where I say reality check, because now I have to survive as a person. So I started pursuing career, the interest I had in career. I pursued up to one point, and I realized that as much as I was having some benefits at some point, some pay was coming in, but I wasn't completely happy. So the plan now was, from any project I work on now, I would take the profit or dividends and start to shape my life along the path of food, restaurants, leisure lifestyle, which is the bigger picture uh, um, in my vision. So that started happening, and like I said, it will happen that once you have a vision and it keeps reoccurring and it's in your heart and it's in your head,
and you can see it clearly, you will begin to attract things that are related to that vision. So reality check is for you to survive, you have to find money if your passion cannot pay you at the time. Because if you don't, you're on your own.
Okay, so this is instructive. Okay, he says you have to find money if your passion cannot pay you. But listening to you, I see that it's possible for your passion to pay you because you talked about building on your passion. And then you talked about your passion attracting things. And that's on the whole metaphysical plane because there are those who are going to say, what are you talking about? But I'm sure that you've had an experience that makes you be able to talk about this. Victor, talk to me. You do all kinds of things, and I'm going to be wondering. I think you guys like this idea of. I think it's a millennial thing. You could do like 1 million things at once. That's not what we do where we come from. So, Victor, tell me, what is it that has been your driving passion, and how did that translate to vision for you? Yes, Victor.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
my driving
my
passion
driving
has
passion has
been, like
been,
I said,
like I said,
creating a
creating
world
a
class
world class
river state.
river
Let me
state.
use
Let me
that,
use that
that put it like
put
that.
it like that.
Mm.
Now,
Now,
how do we
how
get
do we
there?
get there?
We
We
know
know
we have
we
food
have food
because
because
before, like in
before, like in
engineering, we say
engineering, we
before
say
you can
before you
solve a
can solve a
problem,
problem,
you look for the
you look
root
for the root
cause of the
cause of
problem.
the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
now,
now,
what are
what
the
are
so in,
so in
translating it
translating it
to what I
what
want
I
to
want to
achieve,
achieve
vision,
vision?
okay,
Okay,
what do we
what do
have?
we have?
Like in the
Like
Bible, they
in the Bible,
said,
they said,
what do you have
what
in
do
your
you have
hand?
in your hand?
Mm-hmm.
We have
We
food,
have food.
we have
We have
land,
land.
Mm-hmm.
we have
We have
farmland.
farmland.
They are two
There are
different
two
things.
different
That's why I
things.
said
That's why I
land
said land
separately. We have
separately. We have
farmland
farmland
because
Ah,
because
everything grows
everything
in
grows
river
in
state.
river state.
okay.
From what I've seen, and I've been in farming for 5 years plus, so I've seen that everything can grow here. Well, I'll save some things like grapes. I don't know if it can grow here, but everything grows here. So how do I put it now? What is driving me is seeing that, okay, this is what we have, the potential. How do we convert it to the kinetic, which is the bringing out results? So that's what drove me into where I am today, being in agriculture, being in real estate, being in food, being involved with what I call International Food Festival, because it's food. Who doesn't like food? Who doesn't eat? We all like food. So all these things add together to drive me because I want to see Port Harcourt on the map for good things, River State on the map for good things. So that is what drives me, and that's what, because I have the vision, this is what is driving me. And then putting it in a way that, okay, from agriculture, we can get the food part of it. Because of agriculture and there's food, people will want to migrate to this part of the world. So we keep the land for real estate. So it's just a chain of, they are all connected. So that's what drives it.
You know, I'm listening to you guys and I'm wondering to myself, how does someone just get up and start dreaming these things? You know, what is it that propels a dream? What creates a dream? Is it the fact that there's a need? Is it the need, the passion to excel? Is it the desire to make money? What would you say creates a dream? Yeah, we had
Can you hear
connection
us now?
issues. We had, yeah, we had connection issues for a while, but yes.
Okay. Okay, so your question was,
What is it that propels a dream? What creates a dream? What would you say creates a dream?
okay, there are different kinds of dreams, first of all. Though. Dreams can be in different states. I speak a bit metaphysical because I think we exist and we need to acknowledge the fact that there are other planes or forces or beings that exist with us. First of all, I believe in God, and I believe that He's the creator of everything in heaven and on earth. And I believe He has created a universe, and I believe that this universe works according to principles. So, to start with, if we talk about dreams, there could be dreams influenced by things from the metaphysical plane or from whatever other plane. Spiritually, things could influence your dream. But let's talk about the physical dream, which is what I believe you're driving at. Now, I think if you do not have a vision of any kind from anywhere, if you've not seen a number of things, either through your subconscious or through your eyes physically, I doubt you'll be able to truly dream about these things, be it from television, from books you've read, magazines. There has to be a conception of these things deposited in your heart, mind, soul, anything. But there has to be some form of deposits of things that you can dream. So now your dream can also be triggered by the environment you find yourself, knowing that there are better things that exist beyond the walls or the environment where you are, and knowing that you want those better things within where you fall. I I I grew up having an acronym or a definition for dreams, and that definition was destiny revealing entirely a man's success. Dreams. I use that in a way to guide how I live my life. So whatever I saw that I wanted, that I longed for, that was something that I was hoping to have, I felt it was success in the future, revealing to me that, hey, this can happen. You can do this. This can be right where you are if only you make it happen. So for me, that was a way that dreams come to me. I see people, I see environments where I think I would love to be, and it begins to inspire the things that I would want either for myself or for the people that I'm with or I love or the state where I am, and it begins to grow one step at a time. I want to. I started by having a role model in the person of Professor Wale Soyinka. Not role models are not some things we're very familiar with in our times because these days we don't know what role models are anymore. But yeah, so I started with having that in mind that ah, I wanted to be like this guy. And the simple reason was because most I knew about him was this was a very smart guy, and he won the Nobel Prize. And I'm like, yes, I want to be that guy. I want to be a smart guy too. That was step one. I saw something I liked. It propelled my ambition or my aspirations to be that smart person. To be sincere, years down the line, I don't really want to be a Wale Soyinka, but I still want to be a smart guy. I also read about Richard Branson, and I liked the guy. He took risk. He built businesses. He wasn't stopped by anything. I'm like, I think I'm like that guy. I like to do things like that. So I really want to be like that guy too. And then it propelled some of the things that I dream about too. That's because I've seen and I've read and I've heard things about Richard Branson and the things he's done. And I'm thinking that, yes, these are the kind of things I want to do. That was a start point, and it propelled my dream as well. So putting together all other fragments of, information or visual messages that I got, it started building the kinds of things I dream about. So I know I'm talking about this from a very weird perspective, but the point is, for you to build dreams, somehow it has to be a message coming to you either visually or by inspiration or some form, but you would have to have some sort of message that will help
Some
you
sort of
build
message
that
that
dream.
will help you build that dream.
Okay, so Victor, I'm going to come to you. They say if you can dream it, you can do it. And there are a few initiatives you've been a part of. Uh, look at Big Burger. Is that what it is? Big Burger. And all of the things. I hope I'm right. I think later you're going to tell me about it. So that's one project you started, and I'm not sure you thought about here you are thinking of doing burger in a country, in a state where burger is not a big deal. I mean, we have our bole and fish, please excuse me. We have enough nice things. And then you wake up with this your burger idea, you and your friends. And then suddenly, like you guys say in your palace, una blow. Yeah. So what even made you think it? Okay. And then you guys went ahead and you did this, and then just as you were doing it and you guys grew this business, and then you went ahead and went to Lagos to continue. You moved on. I think you're very impatient. You can't. Is it impatient as well? No, no, no. You're always on the move, always looking for new places to conquer, new territories to conquer. Then you're doing farming, you're doing all kinds of things. You've done poultry, been there, done that, you drop it. You're doing fish, you're doing pigs, you're thinking of snails. Tell me, this boy, this man, what propels you? But tell us a bit of your story, real story, so that those of us who want to dream, Julia and I want to dream. So please excuse us, take us through these dreams and tell us how to become.
Okay, so well, it's Big Kitchen Burger. First of all, let me correct. It's Big Kitchen Burger, and then it was okay. No, let me go back, way back, and start from there. Since I'm supposed to tell the story of how everything. Okay, so I always had this from when I was a kid. I always had this. I would dream about being in a different school, and then fast forward some years later, I'm in that school. I dreamt of being in the university, Uniport to be precise. Fast forward years later, I was in Uniport. I dreamt of being serving in Abuja, or no, rather, being in Abuja, living in Abuja. Fast forward years later, after Uniport, I was in Abuja and I stayed there. I dreamt of being in Paris. Fast forward years later, I stayed in Paris for a bit. So my life has just been sort of, I would dream ahead and then it would happen. So that's on my own part. Now
Now,
for
so can
the
we switch your name from Victor to Joseph?
Traveler, dreamer.
it's possible. It's,
have to do something
Okay.
about connection. Connectivity is
So,
killing us in this country.
fast forward years later, after I came back from civil engineering, and then I came back with that high. Okay, not this one. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry for the network issues. Yeah, so fast forward years later, I came back into Nigeria, and then I started the whole with the ambitions and hopes, and oh yes, I'm a drilling engineer, and then I'm going to get a good paying job and then do my 9 to 5, put in the work, put in the hours. But then reality sets in. It didn't work like that. So I was lost for a bit. And one day I went to church, and in the middle of service, pastor was preaching, and it just hits me. Have you ever thought of doing your own thing? Have you ever thought of being the the hot spot for every other person's business? That's where the business development idea came up. So basically, what I am about is I may not be the vision person of this particular dream, but my own input there is to make that dream work. So that's why Big Kitchen was my classmate from secondary school, Tekena. His idea, he started it. I saw the idea, I loved it. I went to him, I said, this can fly. I pushed it to the best of my ability. God helping, it flew. Today we know where that one is. I jumped on Bamboo Real Estate. A friend of mine from university, I said, he just made the post and I saw it and I loved it and I went straight to him and I was like, Ego, I love this. Let's make it fly. I put in my own input. Today, Bamboo Real Estate is flying high. I saw Ken with Port Harcourt International Food Festival. I've been there from the first day. And then I was like, okay, this promotes Port Harcourt, this promotes all the things I love. And then at the time, I had already ventured into agriculture. So it was now like, okay, this is food, this is everything. I mean, if I can have a market for my produce, then I mean, this is like the central point for everything. So it just made a whole lot of sense. And as God will have it, Port Harcourt International Food Festival it's a success today. So that is my short story. I'm still young. I'm still a young man.
That is a short, long story. But I listened to a lot that you've said. And basically, you talk to me, you're an enabler, enabling businesses, and you're not afraid to enable businesses. Now, here's the thing. And by the way, guys, let me confess to you already that my farm, the fact that I'm doing anything about farming, Victor is the one saying to me it can fly. And that's where we are right now. Everything Amgad farms, you guys will be wondering. Victor is there morning to night, driving it like he's driving his own business. And I'm saying to myself, this guy is not afraid for other people to succeed. What's the secret to that? Uh, and Ken, I'd like you to speak to this idea of being an enabler, a catalyst, an encourager. How does that put money in your pocket? I really need to understand this. How does that not take away? How does that add?
Okay, enabler, big word. Okay, so primarily, I think it's the drive to see things succeed makes it easy for you to be an enabler because your primary mission or goal is to ensure that if things succeed, then you would succeed.
we're definitely having a conversation with internet service providers. This is not on, you know, we have to have this conversation because it continues messing us up, right? Um, Connectivity is giving us a bit of a problem. Guys, I'm sorry, but that's where we are. We've been trying to get a conversation with these fellows. Um, and I'm sure that that will happen. They're having connection issues at their end. They will rejoin us shortly, but clearly you're listening, and something that I think is striking about everything we're listening to is the fact that always, always, it makes sense to support others. Okay, guys, you're back.
Yes.
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, so okay, wait.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm waiting for this to happen.
We're trying to
We're
connect to the
trying to connect
laptop.
with the
So,
laptop. So,
like I
so
said,
like I said,
being
being
in
in
trying to
trying
see
to
things
see things
succeed
succeed.
makes it easy for you to be an enabler. As long as it succeeds, it doesn't bother you if it was your idea, you are the passion driver or visionary. You just want to make sure that this happens and it succeeds. And that success gives you fulfillment. It makes it easier for you to be a part of something and drive it like it's yours. And I think that's the kind of spirit we need in this part. It's not about being the person behind the vision. It's about driving it so it works. In most of the most successful companies today, we know some of the people who have started companies and are not particularly, my friend, come here, are not particularly the visionaries, but they are the ones who help to drive this projects to success. I think it happens. It happened with the likes of Facebook. It happened with the likes of Apple. Some of the people who made those businesses succeed are not the vision bearers themselves. They are part of the team, and their contributions made a lot of success. And we have seen these companies come to where they are. So I think being an enabler, as you've asked, if it adds to the pocket, as long as it's successful, yes, it will add to the pocket. If I am a part of a company that makes $1 billion and I have 1% or 10%, I am a billionaire or millionaire in dollars. I'd rather be a part of that than be the ogre at the top of a company that's struggling to make 1 million naira. So there we go.
Like I will always say on this matter, sorry. Like I will always say on this matter, it's better to own 1% of 100 million than to own 100% of 100,000.
This is something that we are not thinking about. Julia says collaboration. That concept keeps re-echoing. And that's something I think a lot of people who go into business are afraid of doing. I've listened to both of you, and I really want to talk a bit more about this. For many young people, the idea of collaboration or the idea of mentorship or the idea of rising through the ranks appears to be something they're not comfortable with. Everybody wanting to do their own thing. Okay, I want to own it, I want to do it, I want to be the boss. you know People being afraid to say someone else. And by the way, Victor, Julia has just told me I'm owing you mega bucks for where. That's what younger. She says I better be paying. I'm paying good. But honestly, this idea of collaboration as a business principle, is that the future? Is the future going to rest on collaboration? Is that what we should be looking at and thinking about?
Yes, yes. That's like the only way forward, Because
No
like
choice.
Mark Zuckerberg with Facebook, he owns only about 15% of Facebook as a whole. Bill Gates, he owns about, I think, 9% or 10% of Microsoft as a whole. So if you go by like that, you will see that every successful business that has stood the test of time, there must be collaboration. Must. It's a must. If you do it as a one-man business, you can go so far, but not you cannot run the mile. You always need not just any partnership, strategic partnerships.
Very key. Very key.
Now you confuse me again. Which one is strategic partnership? Not just any partnership, strategic partnership. What are you guys talking about? What do you mean when you say strategic partnership? When you say not just any partnership, what exactly are you talking about? Because I need to understand this. From where I'm sitting, I want, you see, this Zuckerberg kind of billions. That's what I'm looking to. So I need to understand strategic partnership. What does that mean?
Okay. Okay. You sure? Okay. With me and him, we have a strategic partnership.
We have strategic partnerships.
Okay. Because I know what I bring to the table. He knows what he brings to the table. I think sort of one of my strong points is knowing who has what and how to bring everybody that has and fuse together. That's one of my strongest strengths. So that is what I mean by strategic. So I'm the enforcer or I'm the enabler. He's the idea person. So we know, okay, we need an IT person, we bring an IT person. We need someone who can handle the books, we bring in someone on the finance. We need a lawyer, we bring strategic partnerships. You don't just do, oh, he's my friend,
So let's go ahead
let's go ahead and do business. No, it doesn't work like that, because friendship will always have that rift at the end of the day, because someone will not play their part.
Okay, to add to what everything around business, around a project, around endeavors is about value. And if you're not driving value at the end of the day, then I don't think you're giving anybody anything. So as long as you're providing value that would enable a project, that would make a business or anything grow, then you might be seen as a strategic partner. Now, I said might because it also depends on the kind of project you're working on. Knowing what kind of partnership you need at what time in the project is also important.
Mm-hmm.
You might think because you're starting, let's use you for example. You might think because you're starting a farm, okay, so it'd be nice to have all sorts of partners from all ends. But no, I don't think it's necessary, because you need to pass different phases and get to the part where those people will add value to your project. So yes, we're handling beds, and in handling beds, all you need to do is make sure you feed them, vaccination is right. These are some of the basics you need. So when you get to the point where they are all grown and fully matured, you might now think that, okay, so I have 20,000 beds. Do I want to sell off all 20,000 beds as live beds? Or I probably need someone who does processing to come in. At that point, that's a strategic partner. So when the person comes in, the person will be able to now handle processing, which you don't have to do. You've done your part. You've grown the beds to the point where they are edible or they are sizable enough. So you call the strategic partner who has the processing skill and equipment and processes you need. At that point, you can have that kind of partnership. So those are the kind of partnerships we need. It is very key. And sorry to add this, I have had a number of years of experience in trying things. Sometimes when my people I consult for ask me, so what am I paying you for? Am I paying you for skills or this? I say, no, you're not paying me for just skills. You're paying me for two things. One, you're paying me for a lot of experience. Then you're also paying me for failing on your behalf. Because I've failed. So you don't have to fail anymore.
True.
That failure is what I bring to the table.
True.
I will tell you, don't do this because you will fail. I know. I'm not telling you because I heard.
True.
I have tried it. So that's it. Strategic partnership is key. If we want to go anywhere, it's almost no option. It's something we must do to go forward. And I mean, I've known this man for God knows how long. And it got to a point where, Oga, this thing will help two of us. Come, let's do it. And him too, oh boy, it works. Let's go ahead. And we're here. And we are having more projects. And that's it.
I'm learning, and you guys are blowing my mind. Now, everybody on my timeline is going crazy. So I need to ask you this. Number one, Vivian says a lot of reasons deter people in Nigeria from collaboration. You collaborate and somebody cheats you and runs away with the business. He pushes you off, he runs away, and you can't do jack about it. Friendships are destroyed. So Vivian wants to understand, how do you deal with that? Alaibo says big businesses require funding and a community of people who have the resources. And talk about here, River State. Let me come down to River. First, in Nigeria, there are not many people with that kind of money. Julia says we are tired of this our MSME. Every time we're having every conference about MSME. We don't want to be micro and small. We want to move. We are hardly able to move into medium. But it's a funding issue. It's a funding issue. So how can we address these key issues? The issue of trust and people running away with the business, and the issue of funding, the kind of money we need for big business. Can you talk to that?
Trust issues. That one boils down to the individual. Because personally, I've had experiences where I've been in partnerships where the people got greedy. So you can't entirely rule it off the books because we are all humans. But because you know where you're going to, what you see, you know that, okay, this is what I want at the end of the day. I want to change. I want a paradigm shift. I need a mindset change. So you keep doing what you know is best. Keep giving industry best. Keep giving the standard that you expect. But at the same time, you keep checks in place because from experience, you now know that, okay, maybe the first partnership you entered, you did not sign an agreement. The next one, you sign an agreement. If that one has an issue, or maybe there was this clause that you did not factor in because of inexperience, you factor it in. That's why experience comes in as you go along the way. So that's just basically for the trust issue because we are humans. You can never tell what is in a man's heart. So, like the Bible says, the heart of man is desperately wicked. So you can never know. It's just that's why you put those checks and balances in place. Have somebody to handle the books differently from you guys that are in the business. If possible, you outsource your financing or your finances so someone else, a different company, runs that. So yeah, that's on that one. Then take the funding.
Before I talk about the funding part of it, I will start by saying that this issue with trust, you know, I will not sit here and act very innocent, like, we've not been in this boat before. Some of us have been on this table. And sometimes it's not a matter of distrust. Sometimes it might just be a function of managing funds properly and managing information properly. Now, I'll start with the funds part of it. It's because I've been in partnerships that didn't go well, not particularly because I wanted to defraud anyone, or we did not have an open or trusting relationship. We did have a trusting relationship. Everything was open, but There are times when, like he rightly said, if you do not know how to manage your books, try to get someone who can do that. There are times when you misbehave with projects because you did not manage funding properly, and it gets you into a bad position. And sometimes, when it has to do with money, if people are angry, they don't want to hear the stories you're saying. So I have been in that position. I've been in positions where I've made mistakes, especially because I made poor decisions. But see, that's why I'm telling you that you come to me because I've failed. I know
I've
what
made the
not to do.
mistakes for you.
So,
And then let me just tell you that I'm sending advertising bill to you. My teacher,
ah,
my business coach is here, and he's going to be asking me when I made money from this. So I'm sending.
all right, I probably exchange it in service. Okay, so let's come to the funding part, and this is a very serious part. Again, we have learned a lot of lessons from knowing that it's not easy to raise funding. It's not, and that's reality. Now, there are a lot of factors that make this difficult for us. So, one of those factors, for starters, is the fact that a lot of us are not usually prepared for the kind of funding we're looking for.
Mm.
And that's because, let me take grants for example. Some of us are looking for grants, but we have not ensured that we've put everything required of us as an organization to seek those grants rather. I don't see how you can get those grants. Even if it's free money, the people want to ensure that you bring value, for the money they give you. So one of the things we need to learn to do around here is take the steps. Start small. I'm telling you this because I did not. I lost. I'm starting again. Start small. The world will not end tomorrow. If you start small, you can build, you can grow. People will see, they will trust you, they will believe you. At that point, you will not ask for funding. They would call you and tell you that we have funding. Do you want? So a lot of the times we make that mistake of saying, "Oh, we need funding for this," but when you go to the funding, platforms, or you're asked to meet certain criteria, you can't. Some of us have not done little projects, but we want to clear out projects running in millions. And to be very realistic, I know that now because not everybody will give you their money and say, go and try. Just very few. And those people now start in your family. According to my friend, yeah, your village people might not allow you start. So yes, start small. That's one key point. The other point is, when looking for funding, it's very smart to ensure that everybody wins. Don't be greedy. You cannot try to have, you don't have 10 billion naira or 10 million naira. You're asking somebody for 10 million. Then you not tell him that you give him 10%. It's not realistic now. If you can prove to him that that 10 million naira is giving you now will give him 10 billion naira next 10 years, he will look at you and say, I will consider 10%. But if he doesn't see that, my brother, my sister, sorry, he won't give you his money.
So I like the conversation around be realistic. Don't ask for what you can afford to give. You know, I you're reminding me of the parable of the talents, where God gave people talents according to what He knew they were capable of doing. You know, and and the man that had that one talent was like, "Hey, why would you not give me the same as this other guy?" But I hear you guys say to me, we need to be realistic as we go into business. But there's a question that Vivian asks, and it's a legitimate question. In a country where where contracts are not sacrosanct, you say we should sign agreements and stuff like that. In a country where contracts are not sacrosanct? How can we ensure our contracts justiciable? Do we have a justice system we can trust? I sign a contract, you run away with the money. What can I do about it? Do we have a justice system we can trust? Isn't that a big issue? So speak to that. I'd like you both to speak to that.
Okay, it's a big issue, but if you don't cover your tracks, how do you now tackle it when it gets to that point? Because at the end of the day, if okay, should the person run and you find the person, how do you now say okay, you ran with my money? What is your evidence? How do you prove it in court? You get, so you must have at least cover your own end of the bargain. Cover your end, sign your agreement, be sure that I'm covered completely. Then you don't wait because okay, one day our justice system may wake up and start working again. But then if he wakes up at that point, is it that time you'll not say, oh, we started this business 10 years ago. Come, let's sign a contract now. It's already too little, too late.
Okay. I have a thing I say. Sometimes I believe instead of you to wait for the leaders to lead, you lead the leaders. I say that because most times we complain about a lot of things in this country, and this is how I view it. See, why you spend time complaining, some other person who decides not to complain is spending time building. So here is how it works. I live on an avenue, and my road is not tarred. It's horrendous, and that's where I drive to my house. Right? There's no security lights, and I'm sitting out there shouting, "Government is not doing anything." I will sit there. They will come and rob me. Government will be where they are. Important thing is, can you do anything about the road? If you can, rally around your neighbors. Guys, let's put our resources together. This is for our own good. Let's make this work. It's for our safety. That's a start. I believe that to a certain extent, if government realizes that we don't have their time, they will find our attention. Is it money? Steal it. We are making more money. Oh. We don't need your own. Oh. Once you realize that, because the idea of their stealing money is to
Oppress.
look flamboyant, and or I don't know. But when you come to the point where you realize that half of the boys that are running after you as Oga are no longer running after you because one small boy on the corner, he's milling palm oil and making twice as much as you are making. They won't look for you again. They are seeing money, they are seeing respect, they are seeing a lot of things. It's a very long road. But I believe if we start gradually, we will get there. Now, about the issue of our laws not being in place, it is important, yes. Confirm with the person you want to do business with. Due diligence is not particularly a thing of law. And I will tell you that because my first restaurant in GRA had issues primarily because I did not do any due diligence. It was a third party lease, and just because I did not confirm that, the case was court, and a few days after, um, winner of the case came and decided to what's the word now? Evict. I was a victim with all things inside. So at that point, who do I blame? The person who I had an agreement with that is now even struggling on his own? No. So due diligence is key. And this due diligence has to do with confirming who you're working with, checking characters, and every other thing you can check in the process of going into business.
I'm going to say that I'm learning a lot. I'm learning so much. And um, the big thing I learned here, I'm taking away, is due diligence. How much due diligence do we do? Even in our daily lives, when we get involved in all kinds of arrangements with people, whether it is contractual, whether it is business, whether it's social. We're going to be wrapping this up shortly, but I want both of you to speak about something that I know is essential to both of you. You've been involved in a lot of social projects. Victor, you're a Rotarian, and I proudly announce that. Kenneth, you are a Rotarian. Okay, and I probably had that, but you've both been involved in social projects. What is it that makes you, young men, trying to make some money and still you find time to give back? I know you were involved in several projects this period, giving out palliatives, trying to reach out to people. Ken, you seized your wife's kitchen and home and turned everything she owned into a palliative measure, or maybe it was the other way around. I don't know who seized who, but yes, both of you get involved in these social things, and I'm wondering, is there a part of that that is critical for business, or is this just you?
You want to go?
No.
Okay, so first, for me, um, I think this is one of the reasons where we will speak about passion looking at reality. Life, as it is easier when the next person is happy. It is difficult to go on the street, especially one of the experiments I did before COVID. I could intentionally just ride in a public transport just to understand how people feel sometimes. And when I'm that, I observe that people are very angry for no reason. And if you trace back, to the root, you see people are either hungry, suffering, bitter for one headache or the other. There's just a lot of pain around. And it makes life easier for me if I can drive in a taxi, public taxi, and I'm having a very interesting conversation with the driver, and he's not sad and he's not angry. It's just, I think it's a better world for us once people can live together happily. We don't expect to have happiness all the way around, but if we can just reduce the amount of sadness and bitterness around us, it would go a long way. Now, it's also important that as a human being, you try your best to give back what you have gained from society, because whether we like it or not, even if it's your individual effort that took you to wherever, it relies on the collective contribution of everybody, one way or the other. As a businessman, if you sell food, if nobody buys your food, you're nothing. So there are people who cannot afford that food, but you've made something from selling food, which is value, yes, to someone. If you have a percentage of that to spare, give it. Now, for business, you want to speak about that, or I go ahead? For business, it's very important. I'm not saying I do this because it's important for business, but I'm saying this because I would like to advise people that yes, it is important to do this for business. Let me take your staff, for example. If you do not have a happy staff, you don't have a business. You do not have a business, because whatever they dish out to your customers, fault primarily. If your staff is happy, then they will translate that happiness to your customers. That's why some businesses businesses take it as a point of duty to ensure that their staff remain happy. And by happiness, I'm not saying buy them a Rolls Royce. I'm just saying fulfill the basic needs of your staff. It is very key for business growth.
Okay, I'm supposed to follow
You
him.
know, you, you know, guys, I don't know. I thought, I don't know, Julia, I'm sure you, everybody who is listening in, I'm listening to those two young men. I don't want them to go because they're completely blowing my mind and teaching me so much. But that's the point, really, that as we get older, we learn a lot of things. But in your tiny ages, you've learned some. Oh my God. Oh, okay, you have to forgive me. Okay, friends, it's been conversations with Aibee, and I've learned so much from my two guests today. They constantly motivate me, and I think they motivate a lot of us. Even if I just go by the thread, the conversation on the thread, clearly we've all learned so much. Business is good. Business is better when we collaborate. Business is best when we own a little of a huge chunk. Money can be found if we do the work. It's a lot of hard work, but money can be found. And yes, due diligence is critical. But above all, we must do something to give back. I like the way Julia puts it. She says, as you go along life's journey, we need to plant trees so that there will be shade for all of us. Kenneth and Victor, thank you so much for gracing conversations with Aibee with your presence. And by this time, next week, Friday, guys, 4 o'clock, we're having another interesting conversation. I was going to spill who my guests would be, but I think I'll keep that close to my chest. Keep watching this space. I'll see you on Friday at 4 p.m. for another round of conversations with Aibee. Thank you, guys. Please say good night.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks.
It's been a great time having you.
We want to ask.
You want to ask? What are you asking, Kenneth? Go ahead.
One thing.
Yes.
Okay, so as much as we know that we learned a lot, we want to learn a lot more from your experience, Auntie Julia's experience. We lack that in our system. A lot of us went to the school of hard knocks. We're here, but we want a good holding with our rascal and uneven shape. So please, if we can get the opportunity to learn more, we are asking openly in the potential
And open letter.
I think the answer is already a yes. I don't know what else we can teach you. You guys know it all, but sure, we're here. We're here to tell you about all of our failures along life's way. That too is some help. Thank you so much, guys. It's been an awesome evening, and let's do this again sometime.